This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 130 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we talk with our good friend Lizzy Meyer on how she and her pets cope with the Texas polar vortex. The breed of the show is the red panda. In critter nutrition, we focus on hindgut health in horses. And in Coffee Clatch, we share a Twitter feed called Thoughts of Dog. Listen in. Hi, I'm Tigger.
Hey, this is Coach Jen, and I'm filling in for two parts today because Patty Perucci couldn't be with us this evening. She's got some family obligations to take care of, so it's a free-for-all!
Woohoo!
Well, we have a really interesting and exciting guest coming up a little bit later in the show, Lizzy Meyer. So we're going to make the quiz portion of our show succinct. Tigger, you just returned from your annual trip to Wellington for the winter.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how long were you in Wellington this year?
2.5 months.
2.5 months. Did you drive straight through on the way home, or did you drive?
No, I do 10 hours the first day, spend the night, and then 7 hours the next day.
There we go. So that's a lot of driving.
And
as anyone who's ever taken a long road trip knows, you sit in a car, you're sitting still, and you are exhausted when you get where you're going. How do you recharge physically and emotionally? How do you get recharged after a road trip like that?
You mean once it's done?
Once it's done. Once you get home, you leave the car, you collapse in the bed, and you get some sleep. How do you get? Because a lot of times you get home, you're like, okay, you're exhausted, and then it's hard to get in gear again, to get going again. How do you rev up?
It's so hard. I call the day after I get back from Florida the lost day.
Oh.
Because
the lost day, I like that.
You have to remake your routine. And I have a very different routine in Florida you're still feeding dogs, and that part doesn't change. But what you're doing, that sort of changes. And I found myself wandering around yesterday going, I know I have to empty my suitcases and I have to put this away, but I don't really feel like it. And Peter always laughs at me because the first thing that I set up after I get back from Florida, and that's that night that I arrive, is my computer. So that gets all set up, so I'm ready to go in the morning. But I get up early, but I find myself, my brain isn't firing 100%.
Yeah.
It's like
you're in a fog.
Yes, it does. Yes. And I will say, one of the great things about traveling with dogs is that at every stop, you have to get out and walk them. When you're getting gas, you also have to walk them. And I find that really helpful because it takes my mind away from the road. And I got really lucky this trip. I don't know where these gas stations are. I could not tell you. But a couple of them had like paths into a little wood. I mean, not very far, but, where you could actually sort of get away from the interstate and walk with your dogs and, smell the grass and just kind of get your head in a different framework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, do you find... You talked about getting back into your routine once you get home. Do you find your routine at work? Do you find getting that back into order helps a lot?
Well, I work 7 days a week.
Yes, you do.
So that part doesn't change, but in Florida, I see more people. I'm delivering things.
So you're going to have a lot fewer in-person appointments once you get back. So I can see how that would really kind of foul up your rhythm. Yeah.
Well, the revelation. I had the revelation today. I'm sitting in my chair at the computer, and I look down, and I have sweatpants on, and it's noon, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
That doesn't happen in Florida. No.
No, 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 no. So, yeah, it's the pace is slower at home, and you're not under the pressure.
Yeah. Wellington is a pressure cooker. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is it ever?
Yeah. So that's interesting. So it's for a lot of people when they do long road trips, when they get back, they're returning to the pressure of everyday living. In your case, when you go down to Wellington, that's where the pressure is really amped up. So when you come back, you kind of have to take a deep breath and settle into a regular routine again.
Yes, exactly. And not, look at my schedule every day. Go, I got to be at this barn. I got to go to WEF. Got to drop this stuff. And it really is. It's lovely. I appreciate both, but I really love being able to be in my sweats.
There you go. That's what it's all about. So you get back, put on comfortable clothes, take a deep breath, have a cup of cocoa.
Exactly, and bundle up because it's definitely colder here than it is in Florida.
Yeah, it's colder everywhere. All right. Well, that's very interesting. And speaking of cold.
Oh my gosh, Lizzy.
Yeah.
Our dear friend Lizzy.
Let's give Lizzy a holler.
Vortex.
Yeah.
We're here now with my good friend Lizzy Meyer, who's one of my favorite people on the planet. And she has gone through quite the adventure with the polar vortex in Texas and her animals. So I thought it would be great to have Lizzy on to share some of the ahas she gained and some of the funny stories that she would tell me on the phone as she went through this very challenging time. Her water pipes burst, of course, like many people in Texas, which of course caused a flood in the kitchen and, the cascade of problems, no power. And so anyway, welcome, Lizzy.
Thank you. Good thing is there's a little construction going on, and the most peaceful, quiet place I could find to do this is inside the chicken coop, which is very nice, actually.
Okay, that's the best opener ever in the history of Healthy Critters. I'm just saying. From the inside of a chicken coop, that could be a show.
It's very nice in here. And even during the vortex, I remember sitting inside the chicken coop, making sure everybody had warm water. And, because I had some that were actually getting really cold that ended up spending the night in a crate in the utility room. And I'm still dealing with my rooster who had severe frostbite on his comb.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's healing beautifully. Calendula ointment is amazing.
Good to know. Is this calendula that you've made yourself?
I wasn't organized enough to do that this time, but it was just a homeopathic calendula gel, and I just had it in my first aid kit. And I had probably 3 hens that had just very mild damage, and then he had the most significant. So, but he's on the mend
now. Okay.
Oh, completely. And he's so wonderful just to handle. I just go in the evening and pick him up, and he sits on my lap with 3-inch long spurs and just sits there as I doctor his comb. He's totally happy.
So, among a lot of the funny stories that you shared with me with your incredible positivity, because I probably would be stringing swear words together that have never been strung before, the story of the tent.
Okay. So, it was becoming very uncomfortable to live in my house since there was a giant hole in the kitchen ceiling, and everything was kind of drying, and there was still no running water in the house. So I thought,
And didn't you have all those machines going? It
Yeah.
sounded like
Thanks for reminding me. I blocked that out. Thankfully, I had an excellent water mitigation company come in, and they had a giant dehumidifier and all of these huge, turbo fans. It sounded like living inside of like an uninsulated jet engine or something.
God.
And so the dogs, like, I could have tolerated it with my bedroom door closed, but one of my dogs is already a head shaker, and he had already been head shaking a little bit before this. So then the other two were getting a little bit news sensitive, and never mind the cats. We won't even go there. So I just thought, you know what? We have to get out of, and we can't just go to a hotel without some organization. So we're going to try an adventure. So I put up this tent, which was 52 square feet, which is big enough for 4 people. I didn't know it was 52 square feet until later. And I have these 2 kittens that were, they're 5 months old at the time. And then I've got a big gray cat, and then my 3 dogs. And so I just said, come on, guys, we're going to have an adventure and sleep in the backyard. So popped up the tent and put the kittens in a crate with a litter box. And it was not the most restful night. Within about 2 seconds, I heard my nice, mattress pad, my little camping pad, start to and then deflate. And I was then on a tree root. And I thought, and the little black kitten just so badly just wanted to be sleeping on top of me, which is just what these kittens do. So the dogs were actually being really good until there was an armadillo that was near the tent. Resulted in me having to catch the armadillo by hand. That's another story. Yeah, that was another piece that I think I spared you, Tigger. Yeah, one of the dogs took off in the middle of the night. Had to go pee. That's kind of what he was telling me. But there was also another reason, which was the armadillo. He caught the armadillo and then dropped it after I, was chasing him in my pajamas, and grabbed a flashlight. Couldn't find my headlight. Had the flashlight in my armpit. Grabbed some gloves quickly, my hoof trimming gloves, and then because this armadillo was running towards the main house and was digging underneath the foundation in a flower bed. And so I just went, all right, Annie up, catch the armadillo. I've never touched an armadillo. So I caught the armadillo without dislocating their tail. No. Oh, no. You have to watch out for their claws. It's kind of like catching a snapping turtle to watch out for the claws. So I just sort of, lifted the base of the tail, and they're extremely strong. And then I sort of scooched him against the foundation, grabbed a net, just so happened to have a net, and then just sort of propped up the front and scooped him up and gently I had to make sure he didn't have puncture wounds from the dog. He was perfectly fine, and he took off. Then we went through the rest of the night in the tent. And
now, how many dogs were on the bed?
Well, after 2 nights in the tent, we decided to try my detached office, kind of unfinished small house, 144 square foot house. There were 3 dogs on a twin bed. That was worse than a sardine can. I couldn't move. I move a lot when I sleep. And then there were cats. So I had Merlin, my puffy gray cat, next to my head, and he was not happy about this. And then there were these 2 kittens on top of my chest, and they're circled up like yin and yang, and I just was not feeling that way laying there. But honestly, it was so much better than that darn tent. I mean, the tent got me grounded really fast because I was on top of the tree root. Literally. And no mattress pad.
My back, I wouldn't have been able to get up.
I really just didn't want to move. I was so exhausted. I just slept. I just needed to be outside in the, in the company of trees and just sleep. And it worked. It was fine until the rooster, if I'm 10 minutes late feeding, I swear he knows exactly where I am at all times. He came to the tent door and did his cock-a-doodle-doo. And I just looked up like, when is this going to end? That was just the first few nights.
How many nights did you get to camp out in your tiny house? That wasn't really quite a house.
The tent was only 2 nights. The tiny house is an ongoing phenomenon. The coolest part, though, is that I found an incredible handy woman and her brother. And I just said, here's what I need. And they have done, an incredible job just making it livable and, nice and, everything. So I've spent, the last, close to 2.5 weeks, something like that in there in the twin bed with firm boundaries with the dogs. And some other activity has gone on in the said, tiny house involving cats that well, I woke up one morning to this incredible screaming, and nobody fights here. So I turned on the light, and these kittens had an appointment to be spayed and neutered right at 6 months, but it's going to happen a tiny bit earlier. I will spare you the details. So there will be no litter. Nobody worry. So
gotcha.
I've made it to 6 months with every other cat, but these were ready sooner. So
yeah, this is extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
What have been some of your ahas?
Well, in the beginning, I was feeling tremendous anxiety around how am I going to figure all of this out? How will I deal with the home insurance and the, just finding a contractor and just dealing day-to-day stuff and cleaning up. Oh my gosh. And just living in a really messy house and having, all kinds of stuff that is awaiting a dumpster in the front yard. And just like dealing with that type of clutter that I'm not used to, but not allowing my mind to get soaked in that vibration. Because what I kept watching the dogs, and, anytime I was a little bit anxious, I was seeing it in them, because 2 of the 3 are 12 years old. And, this disruption has been really a challenge. We'll just say that. They're adapting, but it's been a challenge. And then, I would see it in the horses.
And they have health issues.
Yeah, they're kind of special needs kinds of animals that live here. And so it made it, and then I watched the horses, this herd of retired horses, and they were laying down a lot. And that's not normal for them to lay down as much as they were after this whole thing. So I kind of had to step back and say, I need to get really quiet. Even if I'm exhausted, I need to just stop all of this mental energy, because it's affecting all of us in some way. And if I don't have it together in some way, they're going to keep feeling it even more. So I need to be able to not grab it, not grab this whole thing, but more let it go and trust that if I go through the right steps and deal with the right people. The right things are going to happen better than you could ever imagine. And it took a while. And, and it was just like relax into the whole thing and focus on one thing. And so the one thing became, can I recreate a nest? Can I recreate? Well, I'm sitting in the chicken coop, I guess. But there's this one chicken that just walked in. Her name is Kitty, because every time I call here Kitty, Kitty, this one chicken comes running to me. So Kitty is in here as I'm speaking with y'all, as an aside. So anyway, but it was just to surrender and to trust and just deal with the next thing in front of me instead of trying to figure it all out. And just create a new home, and just above all, just to be in total gratitude. And when someone told me that in the first week, I just was not thrilled to hear that. No. But as I and I really respected, this whole gratitude idea. But then I started kind of trying it on, and my energy just really raised up. And it was kind of a relief. And the horses seemed more present. The chickens were following me around more. And I realized I don't really have a routine anymore. So I need to recreate a routine, recreate an identity, recreate all these things that I'd kind of, I hadn't really paid a lot of attention to before. So, and then everything great, the right people started showing up, and, it's all in the works right now. And just trusting that is like, it's already in motion, and being grateful for that, even if it's somebody returned my call, or somebody sent me an estimate on time, which was a big deal. Yeah. Just stuff like that. And then the other thing was, because there have been so many people here, between different service people, estimates, insurance, like all kinds of people have been here. And so I've had to just had to get really good at getting grounded quickly. Yeah. And not letting other people's energy influence me too much, and find a way to compliment them on the job that they're doing, whether it's a really small job or a really big job, because these people are working so hard, and they are all working overtime, and people are cranky, rightly so. But yes, so just like finding those things has been a really big lesson. And not wallowing in, when is this going to be over, and, whatever, not even going to the story of it, because that kind of energy just kind of kept pulling me back into the trauma of the whole thing, and just the disorganization of it all. So, yeah.
Well, I really admire how you continue to, be so lighthearted and positive while, your world is crashing down around you, literally. You've been very inspirational, Lizzy. And it's a very hard thing to do when part of your house floods.
Well, I just keep thinking, there are people that, have this so much worse than I will ever have this. And it's like, just be grateful. You have help, you have insurance, you have all these, everything is in motion, and, not to worry about it, because it's all, there are people that are really, truly suffering. And I keep sending prayers to those people, and just thinking good thoughts for them, because this is not bad. This is not bad at all. I've heard stories, from a lot of people, and I feel very, very fortunate. And that's what's made me try to stay a little lighter about it. And so many people have helped me. I've had 4 different places to take a shower before I had water in my little, cabin rigged by irrigation hose and a Y connector.
I love it.
I mean, seriously, I've had great neighbors, great friends. People have let me do laundry at their houses. So I'm also keenly aware that, I want to not repay, but if anyone needs anything of me under these types of circumstances, to be the one to offer instead of having to ask. Just offering is huge. So, and I've had a lot of people offer, and it's been incredible. It's been a gift.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So and there have been so many people who have just been helping other people, and just neighborly things. I mean, I've just watched it and just gone, this
restores
really
your faith in
amazing.
humanity.
Oh, completely. So
Are there some things that you would recommend that we have in our first aid kits, or sort of home emergency things you've learned that you wished you'd had, or that you were glad you had?
Yeah. And I would say the first thing is to remember, even if you're an organized person, when your home is disordered in whatever way, it's hard to find things.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, I needed something from my first aid kit for one of the dogs, and I couldn't find it to save my life, but it's in the first aid kit in the middle of the floor, clearly labeled. But like, you can't see the obvious. You really can't. Like, I phoned a friend, and she said, "Is it in your first aid kit?" And I just went, "Oh, that thing. Yeah, my first aid kit's right here. Of course it's right here." So I think making things that, even if you're under that kind of chaos, that you can find them easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. I definitely have taken quite a bit of aconite and ignatia, homeopathic remedies for, just shock and like what just happened, and rescue remedy almost every day. I think you can't go wrong with rescue remedy for me and the dogs. I would say, when we were in the rolling power outage, figuring out the water situation, just really having more backup water than you ever think you'll need.
Yeah.
That was a big one. And, I mean, I don't know. We did have a dog fight. There was a dog fight among my pack because everyone was just stressed out. So, just having your standard, cleaning supplies, wound cleaning supplies, and things like that. But I think dealing with the stress component is really important, more than anything, on the physical level. Because fortunately, we were able to, go to the little house or the tent, or, we went to a hotel for like 3 nights, but then you have to think about packing for dogs and having someone on backup to feed your cats or check on your horses, or, So it's a lot of, I guess, any way to manage a bunch of moving parts, because my brain was not functioning very well in the beginning of this. And I would just say it's the last 4 days that I've been a little more with it, because my, just I'm kind of getting used to a different way of working with all of this. So,
well, Lizzy, I'm sending you a virtual hug, and again, I really want to recognize your level of mastery at, learning the lessons and sharing them, because it's how we all learn.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of help, and I appreciate that. I would recommend. I would have one other thing to add for Amy,
Okay.
if y'all'd like. If you're a home cooker or a raw feeder, be prepared.
Oh yeah.
Not have
good
it.
point.
Yeah,
Really good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Definitely plan for more than you think you need of canned or freeze dried or whatever, and make sure your dog
have a
can eat
backup
it
plan. What happens when you have 10 days? Well, you can't keep fresh food for 10 days. Have a backup plan that's like, okay, I have these freeze dried ingredients that I can add water to and feed immediately, so that I can it's shelf stable and stuff. Good idea. Well, thank you for sharing that with us,
You're
Lizzy.
welcome.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hello.
Hetty!
Hello, Jennifer.
No, that's Tigger.
Tigger?
Yeah.
Poor Hedwig.
Tigger sounds like she's on drugs. Is she on drugs? She is, isn't she? She's on drugs. I knew it. She went back to Virginia and she hit the saw.
Speaking of going back to Virginia, Hedwig, Tigger tells me that you are still in Florida. So I'm curious, how long away from home on a road trip is too long, and how do you let your humans know that is the case?
Well, so I carefully monitor the weather in New York. That's how I do it. And when it's no longer saying numbers that begin with 2, then I start to think it's time to go home. But if there's numbers that begin with 2, it's not safe at home, even with the wood stove and everything.
Got it. So where are the numbers now in New York?
This morning there was a number 2.
Oh
my. Not the second number, the first number.
So it's still not safe in New York.
No, maybe next week is looking a tiny bit better. But we are heading home after Easter. Well, maybe on Easter. It's not quite clear yet.
And how do you tell your human it's time to go?
I just, pick up my stuff and put it in front of the truck.
Oh. That'll do it.
I have a bag, I
of
pack
course.
it.
Now, is there any consultation amongst the other Pomeranians, or is this yours and your decision alone?
My sister and I tend to be of one mind on these issues.
I see.
My other sister is coming, to trust us, for she is new and has never done this sort of thing before. Our brother just does whatever we want, for he is a slavish goblin. And the other sister is just mustard seed, If you put her upside down, she just does anything. So.
Well, are you starting to look forward to going home?
No, because of numbers that begin with 2.
Okay. Once the numbers are 3 and 4, will you start looking forward to?
Yes, because then it will be pleasant, and I will gallop about my farm, and I will sleep in my other tack room. And then when I am bored with the tack room, which can happen at any time,
of course,
I shall go back in the house with the wood stove.
That's perfect.
And seeing as how going home is going to involve a road trip.
Yes.
Yeah. Very quickly, before we run out of time, tell me, what are the best food products to make sure you have for the road trip home?
Well, so due to some new rules that have come down in our lives lately, we don't get as many treats as we used to. She only gives us dog treats in the truck.
Now, do you prefer the chewy sorts of dog treats or the crunchy sorts of dog treats?
I like the little ones, I like a little crunchy one. I like a little chewy one. I love Munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts.
Uh-oh, that's not a dog treat.
totally a dog treat, Tigger. Just shut your face.
Any treat that a dog is
And-
eating, technically, is a dog treat. The dog is eating it, right?
Exactamundo.
There we go. We hope that you get all the munchkins that you desire and have a safe and happy trip back to New York when the digits start with at least 4. And we'll check in again with you next month and see how the trip went, okay?
Thank you. I intend to be home, for Easter. It seems appropriate.
Yes, it does. You need your own Easter basket.
Yes, and also I wish to see pictures of Tigger's puppies and laugh. That's how I'm going to laugh.
Thanks.
Thanks, Eddie.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
So we're at Breed of the Show, which today is the red panda. And Jennifer was reminding me that I have often thought it would be a wonderful pet to have because they're so adorable. They're kind of a raccoon bear. Unfortunately, they are endangered. There's only 10,000 left in the world. So that would not be a good pet choice for me. And one of the factors that has endangered them is capturing them for the pet trade. So, if you don't know what a red panda is, please look it up on Google because they are the most adorable things you can imagine. They're kind of red fox, raccoon, and bear all rolled into one. They are native to the Himalayas and southwestern China. Their lifespan is 23 years. They are related to skunks, raccoons, and weasels, but they're not direct descendants. They actually have their own line, and they're the only species in it so far.
So far, yeah, that could change.
Yeah. In 2020, a comprehensive genetic study found that the Chinese red pandas and the Himalayan red pandas are 2 distinct species. And it's the Himalayans pandas that need more urgent protection. Poaching and deforestation and the illegal pet trade are really contributing to their demise, which is sad. The adults pandas weigh between 8 and 17 pounds. So you can have, little ones like a Pomeranian, bigger one like a terrier, and are 22 to 24 inches long.
They're weeny teeny.
Yeah. But their tail is 14 to 18 inches long.
Oh, they have a tail.
Oh, they have quite a tail. It's a bushy tail.
Huh.
It's a great tail. They prefer high altitude temperate forests with bamboo. They predominantly eat, pandas eat, kind of the stems and everything, but the red panda likes just the leaves. They're a kind of quiet in vocalizations, but they do squeal, twitter, and huff quack. They can also hiss and grunt. And the young cubs use a whistle or a high-pitched bleat to signal distress. They're tree climbers, which is interesting. Bamboo is 95% of their diet. The giant pandas feed on, the portion of bamboo that's woody, but the red pandas are way more selective. They like the leaf tips. And this is interesting for both the large panda and the red panda. They grasp the plant stems with their forepaws. They have an extra, I want to say, joint that allows them to grasp it. They also like apples, grapes, bananas, blueberries. They're solitary. They don't live in a herd or a clan, and they only get together during breeding season. They are mostly active at dawn and dusk, and they like cooler weather. So they're not real happy with the tropical or really hot. They spend nearly as little energy as sloths in significantly cold temperatures, which they can lower their metabolic rate and then raise it every few hours as they wake up to look for food. So almost like another bear.
Yeah, that's interesting. That could be a really useful little skill there.
Well, yes. What really has attracted me to them is, that they're so darn cute. I mean, their faces are just adorable. And they give birth in places like tree, where a tree has fallen over and you've got the leftover tree, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
That's not a tree stump. A hollowed out piece of tree?
Yeah, a hollowed out tree stump.
Huh.
Their ankles are flexible. The fibula and tibia are attached to allow fibula to rotate. That's why they can go headfirst down tree trunks.
Oh, so their feet turn around backwards. Huh.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool.
They'd be killer in the lumberjacks sports.
And they have the giant panda's pseudo thumb, which is actually a modified wrist bone to grasp bamboo when feeding. If you want to help save the red pandas, the Red Panda Network is a very cool organization that is working with the indigenous people of the Himalayas and Nepal to protect the red panda, particularly from poaching and deforestation. So, although not a pet for home, certainly an animal to be protected and appreciated for being just so adorable. Here we are at Critter Nutrition, and then today's topic is hindgut health and butyric acid. An estimated 65% of all performance and sport horses experience hindgut ulcers. Stress, including environmental, training and transport stress, nutrition, overuse of omeprazole and NSAIDs are risk factors in the development of colon ulcers in horses. Horses are hindgut fermenters. The intestinal contents of food are mixed and fermented in the large colon with the help of microbes, water, electrolytes, and short-chain fatty acids. The short-chain fatty acids are acetate, propionate, and butyrate. The walls of the large colon control what's allowed to cross from the GI tract into the body and bloodstream. When that barrier is damaged or compromised, harmful substances gain access across the intestinal barrier. This can cause systemic health challenges. What is a hindgut ulcer? A hindgut ulcer is a thinning of the lining of the colon. That lining is a barrier to keep harmful substances from gaining access to the circulatory system. The term hindgut ulcer can also refer to hindgut inflammation and hindgut stasis. Hindgut stasis refers to inefficient fermentation in the large intestine. It can be caused by acidic pH, also known as hindgut acidosis, an unbalanced microbial population, and dehydration. Short-chain fatty acids, butyrate. Short-chain fatty acids are the main metabolites produced in the colon by bacterial fermentation of dietary fiber and non-digestible carbohydrates. The short-chain fatty acids, acetate, propionate, and butyrate, are essential to this process. The short-chain fatty acids modulate health through energy metabolism within specific systems including gut barrier function, glucose homeostasis, immunomodulation, and metabolism. The fatty acids also boost the protective mucus layer in the GI tract. Current research has specifically noted the anti-inflammatory and healing abilities of butyrate, also known as butyric acid. Studies have shown that butyrate can assist the intestinal mucosa immune barrier, reduce the production of pro-inflammatory factors, and reduce the incidence of colonic inflammation in animal and human models. The effects of diet, stress, NSAIDs, and parasites. Hay and forage are critical to the equine GI tract and provide the fiber necessary for the fermentation process of the hindgut and the production of butyric acid and other short-chain fatty acids. Changes in the bacteria colonies in the hindgut affect short-chain fatty acid production. Stress is an important factor as it can disrupt the colonies of beneficial bacteria in the gut, which then opens the door to inflammation. When too many simple carbohydrates, that is sugars and simple starches, are undigested in the small intestine, they pass into the colon. This causes a change in the pH of the hindgut, reducing the beneficial colony of bacteria and reducing mucus production. This in turn can lead to inflammation and a weakened intestinal barrier. Specific NSAIDs such as bute stop the production of beneficial prostaglandins, which are actually important for mucosal protection. Parasite load, particularly tapeworm, can damage the intestinal lining and consequently lead to hindgut ulcers. Supportive foods for a horse's production of butyric acid. Legumes such as alfalfa support the body's production of the short-chain fatty acids. Beet fiber, as in beet pulp, provides non-digestible fiber that provides fermentation benefits. Psyllium, medicinal mushrooms, and apple pectin are fiber-rich carbohydrate foods that are also important for the production of butyric acid. Medicinal mushrooms contain non-starch polysaccharides known as beta-glucans. Beta-glucans have been extensively studied, particularly for their GI tract support, immune support, and in the prevention and treatment of metabolic disease in humans and animals. MOS, mannan oligosaccharides, and inulin, which are prebiotics, are food for the microbes in the hindgut, helping to maintain a healthy colony. Hindgut pH, the effects of starch and protein. Horses eating diets with high levels of non-structural carbohydrates, what we call NSC, are associated with hindgut acidosis as well as laminitis. High levels of starch entering the hindgut can change the pH of the large intestine. This is also true of the fructans in grass and hay. A healthy hindgut requires a pH of 6.7. A drop in the pH affects the microbial populations, and a drop in pH to 6 can indicate subclinical acidosis. This is one good reason to get hay tested and to know how much NSC is in your hay, as well as the ESC component, the ethanol-soluble carbohydrates, which is the subset of the water-soluble carbohydrates. So you can be sure of the amount of sugars and fructans your horse is getting. Fructans are sugars that can't be broken down in the foregut. Fructans are resistant to the digestive enzymes in the stomach and the small intestine. When fructans pass into the hindgut, they affect the pH and cause an increase in lactic acid. This can lead to an inflammatory response and even laminitis. Protein. According to a study by the University of Glasgow in 2017 called Diets High in Crude Protein, have been seen to increase buffering capacity at 14 to 17% protein. This indicates that protein in food may act as a buffer against acidity. It's important to note that alfalfa pellets and alfalfa cubes provide 15 to 18% crude protein. Beet pulp, which can also be beneficial to the hindgut, has much lower protein values, 9 to 10% crude protein. Assistance from probiotics. Short-chain fatty acids are produced by specific bacteria. Among those bacteria strains is bifidobacteria. Research is indicating that an emphasis on stimulation of butyrate with a combination of bifidobacterium, MOS, mannan-oligosaccharides, or inulin and diet can support a healthy colon and can reduce the consequence of a hindgut disorder. Sodium butyrate. Several equine supplement companies have added butyrate in the form of sodium butyrate. Sodium butyrate is produced through hydroformylation from propene and syngas, not from food ingredients. Sodium butyrate is a common industrial chemical. It's approved as a food additive, fishing bait additive, and a food flavoring. Biostar does not use sodium butyrate. to support the body's production of short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate, maintain pH, and support microbial colonies in the hindgut, we rely on real food ingredients. Warming and cooling foods. In Ayurvedic medicine, foods and plants are either warming, cooling, or neutral. Warming foods increase digestive fire. Cooling foods cool digestive fire. If your horse has a gastric or hindgut ulcer, you want to reduce the heat. Yeasts are classified as a warming food. But when your horse is dealing with either a hindgut or gastric ulcer, you don't want to add more heat. You want to cool down the fire. If your horse has a gastric or hindgut ulcer, look for cooling probiotic supplements that contain lactobacillus and or bifidobacterium, yet do not contain yeast probiotics. In summary, short-chain fatty acids are important in the health and function of the hindgut and the GI tract. Butyrate enhances the mucosal immune barrier and provides healthy inflammatory response support in the colon. Hay and feed high in NSC, as well as high fructan content in grasses, can negatively impact the pH of the hindgut, thereby affecting microbial populations, fermentation, and the production of short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate. Protein at 14 to 17% can help maintain the correct pH of the hindgut, which is critical for the fermentation of food by microbes. Specific foods such as alfalfa and beet pulp can support a healthy hindgut. Alfalfa provides more crude protein than beet pulp does. Targeted probiotics such as bifidobacteria with prebiotics such as MOS and inulin are important support for the hindgut. Psyllium, pectin, and medicinal mushrooms support short-chain fatty acid production in the hindgut, particularly butyrate production. Horses with hindgut ulcers benefit from cooling probiotic strains such as lactobacillus and bifidobacterium.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
In Coffee Clutch today, I'm actually going to give credit to boardpanda.com because
refer to breed of show you heard earlier.
They put out an article about this. Whoever it is on Twitter has a Twitter account that is called Thoughts of Dog. Tweets dogs would be sharing if they had opposable thumbs and could tweet. So I have to share this in Coffee Clutch because some of the anybody who has a dog will absolutely know that this is what their dog would say as a tweet. Number one, first tweet. I drank all the water in my bowl earlier, but just now I returned to the same bowl, and it was full again. The bowl is haunted.
Pickles would totally tweet that. Except she would have exclamation points. Oh my gosh, the bowl's haunted. It's a magic bowl.
Number two, human is sad again. 2 licks on the hand. Only a single pat in return. I will do better. Number 3, I've gotten bigger, but the human has always been the same size. At this rate, I will soon control the household. Just lost my human. I barked and barked. Turns out they were just in a different room. Alert level back to green.
Yeah, pickles again. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my human's gone.
Yes. The human brought friends over. One of them forgot to pet me as they entered. That individual has 30 seconds to rectify the situation. If I am sleeping on you, you cannot move. It is the law. It took me so long to cover this house with my love, and you just vacuumed it up. Noise has awoken me. Possible sources: world ending, definite apocalypse, wake the human, immediate, no other possibilities.
So the dog is on Twitter.
Yeah, it's called Thoughts of a Dog.
Thoughts of dog. There's no just thoughts of dog.
Thoughts of Dog.
Thoughts of dog. Which one of your dogs would tweet?
That's a good question. I think Kemosabe would have tweeted in his younger years.
Yeah.
I think Keen would definitely. Keen would be all over. He'd have a Facebook page, Instagram account.
He'd be the social media king.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I think Pickles the Greyhound would be an Instagram dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's very visual, being a greyhound and all.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Sighthound.
And she's very keen. She likes to look. She like when she sees a reflection or something flies by, and yeah, she's very visual. And I think she finds certain things fascinating to stare at. So I think she'd be, and she's also a little bit of a drama queen. So you got to have that.
I just thought this, and I'm reading it exactly as it's written.
Yeah, there's a lot of pauses.
A lot of pauses.
This is my favorite one, and it's all caps. We're at the park. I was not supposed to get money, but I am so muddy. It is important to set realistic goals.
It's very clever. So you can go to Board Panda and find Thoughts of Dog, or if you have a Twitter account, it will definitely put a smile on your face.
There you go. A smile on your face. And if you want to learn more about hindgut health and butyric acid, by the way, Tigger has an excellent blog post over on Biostar US, and it's just biostarus.com, right?
Correct.
And the things that she went over today in critter nutrition, as well as some other details, are in that blog post. So if you're like me and you're a visual learner and you want to read through that to memorize more details, that's the place
And we
to go.
have a very good illustration of the colon in that article.
Yeah, you have a good an infographic about how it all
Yes.
goes through. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good stuff. So all of that's there. Don't forget to follow Biostar US on Facebook because fun things happen over there upon occasion. So just go over to Facebook and like Biostar US. There we go. So I guess that kind of wraps it up for this time around, eh?
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, we'll do that. You take a have some cocoa and get back into your routine.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookie.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.